What's good, y'all? It's your guy Bendu. I wanted to talk about this story that I came across on the Los Angeles Times. I had originally seen it on Secular Talk, I believe. I believe it was Secular Talk, but it has to do with UBI, and I found it very interesting because, as you guys know, I talk about UBI a lot on the channel. I feel like it's something that could definitely be beneficial. But however, like FDR, and I'm not sitting here trying to be some champ. Like a lot of lefties like to champion FDR like he's some fucking god or some shit. But I am more in favor of a jobs program than an actual UBI. Now, I feel like a UBI needs to be there in tandem, especially now with the jobs program because like the economy just got wrecked. Like it's crazy. Like we haven't seen the returns of the damage that has been done to the economy. We're slowly going to see it, just like they saw it, during the Great Depression era. But we need a program and a UBI. But you still have these like conservative arguments and even some arguments from centrist Democrats and everything that are against UBI. And I've even heard like a lot of leftists, like progressives and everything, talk about how like they're in favor of a UBI, but they don't want to see the UBI, take the place of welfare and everything like that. So, and I can see that argument as well, but I think it's been painstakingly obvious that we need a UBI. So, this article from the Los Angeles Times, like they went over a study that was done in Stockton, California. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read through the article from some clippings I picked out of it. Stockton's study shows that universal basic income can be life changing, obviously. The concept of universal basic income, which has received a boost from economic conditions during the pandemic, has just received another favorable vote. This one comes from a study of a 2 year guaranteed income project in Stockton, which delivered monthly, no strings attached checks of $500 to 125 mostly low income residents. A preliminary analysis of the first year of the program through February 2020 found that recipients were healthier, showing less depression and anxiety and enhanced well-being than those in a control group not receiving the stipends. And I like this quote they put at the end. Poverty is not the result of individual bad decisions. It's the policy. It's the result of policies that keep people down, and that is 100% true because this system is designed. It's designed to be ineffective. This is how it was designed to be. It was designed to help the rich and oppress the poor, and that's what it's all about. And there is, and just before I continue on, there is an argument that I have against UBI, even though I'm still in favor of it. There's an argument I do have against it, and they actually bring it up in this article, so I'll let you guys know when it pops up. They also experienced less month-to-month fluctuations in household income. Most notably, they had greater success finding full-time work or upgrading their employment. It's almost as if when you have extra money in your pocket, you can do more shit. That turns on its head the conventional conservative argument that such programs will disincentivize the search for work and turn recipients into layabouts. Yeah. At the start of the study period in February 2019, and before I continue, that's kind of the argument I heard a lot of people say about people were saying about the people that were getting like the $600 unemployment boost and everything, where it was like most of those people were spending it on food, on bills to stay in their homes. And it's, the fact that when you give people money, it makes them lazy, to me is complete bullshit. Because, for example, when I got my stimulus check, I bought my equipment to do this show, to start a small business. People will have more time to start small businesses. That's why they don't want you to have that money, because right now the government is trying to roll up all the properties in the country, the businesses that already exist. They don't want people going out and getting uplifted to create more businesses. So that's why when they run around talking about Joe Biden's his American rescue plan or whatever the fuck that shit's called, it's going to lift people out of poverty, I call bullshit, because Joe Biden's in the pocket of corporations and the banks, and they all want these small businesses to fold so they could come in and roll up all the properties in the country. So I digress, though, continuing. At the start of the study period in February 2019, according to the analysis, 28% of recipients had full-time employment. A year later, 40% did. By comparison, the full-time employment in the control group rose from only 32% at the start to 37% after a year. In other words, recipients were able to move into full-time work at about twice the rate of the control group. What we saw was that individuals were able to leverage the $500 in ways that enabled them to show up and fill out a job application. If you're working part time and taking care of a child, there's not a lot of time in your day. Says Stacey West. I hope I'm saying that right. An expert at an expert in social work at the University of Tennessee. Financial scarcity creates time scarcity. That's just fucking common sense. Now, here this is a clipping, but before I go into that, I find it interesting that, like, people don't understand that there's not a lot of time in the day, and especially when like, conservatives want people to have families and shit. They want people to have children. Well, when that happens, you don't have a lot of time to do certain shit. So they're like, oh, go learn a skill and shit. Like, there's a lot of time that goes into raising a family. There's a lot of time that going into, you know, to making a living, to actually provide for that family. So it's like, I understand skills and trade work and everything. That's something that people can go into, but a lot of people just don't have the time. And then at the end of it, it's like a lot of the conservative arguments I hear, it's like, and I'm not just trying to shit on conservatives and everything, but these are just gripes that I have with a lot of their arguments. It's like, it's as if they want people to be this perfect person, where it's like, me, like, I'm not, I've gone through my struggles and everything, and I've seen friends of mine go through struggles and everything, and it's like, people aren't perfect. So it's like, when you constantly go into people's lives trying to rip their lives apart and say, oh, well, you're failing because of this, it's kind of, you come off as kind of an asshole, but that's not even like the larger part. It's like you're holding people up to this image that more than likely those people saying it are not up to that image themselves. They just happen to be born in a rich family or got lucky somehow. So, and hard work does persevere. However, we do not live in a meritocracy in this country. We never have. It's just crazy that when you look at the data for how wealth inequality has been going in America since like the late 70s, and you can still spout this meritocracy bullshit with a straight face. I don't get it. I really don't get it. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue. Now here she starts talking about like other UBI programs, and actually she talks about something kind of alludes to something that Mark Blythe talks about a lot, which is a national wealth fund, where basically, and they'll explain it here, like Alaska took the profits from their oil and put it into this national wealth fund to give people a UBI there. So she talks about it here. These include Alaska's Permanent Fund, which has distributed money from the state's oil boom since 1982, a casino dividend for members of North Carolina's Eastern Cherokee Band of Indians starting in 1997, and a 1970s experiments in negative income tax that provided low-income families in the United States and Canada with a guaranteed income via tax credits. Studies of those programs found improvements in mental and physical health, education outcomes, parenting, and reduced criminal activity. Iona Marinescu of University of Chicago reported in 2017. The studies found either no impact or slight decrease in labor participation, but some of that may have been due to recipients leaving workplace jobs to care for family members at home. Like, I have a family member, my aunt stopped working and came home to take care of my mother, or not my mother, my grandmother, in the last few years of our life and everything. So none found evidence that the stipends were treated as windfalls to be squandered. West and Baker says that less than 1% of the Stockton checks went for tobacco or alcohol. As an expert in universal basic income told me in 2017, poor people, and this is so true. This is why this hit harder than ever when I read this, because I'm a poor person and I feel this way too. Poor people in the middle class know best how to spend their money. They just don't fucking have it. And they didn't say fucking, I added that in, so you're welcome. But that is facts. I don't know if you guys ever seen Everybody Hates Chris, but they actually did a skit about this. Like, I think it was like one of the first episodes of the first season. But like, they're just showing how like his mom like basically runs their household like the United States runs the country. Like, oh, we're gonna pay a little bit here, this here, and we're gonna balance it. But it was cool to see. But that is facts. I will tell you from personal experience that is facts. So continuing, conservatives. Now this is where this is my drawback on UBI. This is one of the potential downsides I see of it. However, I mean, I get, I guess with proper precautions and not allowing this to happen, I would be 100% in favor with UBI, which I'm already at like 95%. But this is the 5% trepidation I have towards UBI. So, conservatives view UBI as a possible replacement for the social safety net we have now, presumably at a lower cost. So, cutting things like Social Security, Medicare, blah, 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 things like that. The right wing political scientist Charles Murray, for example, has asserted that a guaranteed income of $10,000 a year would be enough to eliminate Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, welfare programs, social service programs, agricultural subsidies, and corporate welfare. I even heard Max Kaiser was recently on Jimmy Dore talking about this, about UBI as well. And it kind of, I kind of look, I'll hear anybody out. I don't agree. I didn't agree with what he said, but I'm willing to hear people out and saying that, these programs, a UBI would require money printing, and money printing is always inherently bad, which I don't know if money printing is always inherently bad, because like we did a lot of money printing during, the Great Depression with, in the New Deal era, and that pulled us out that pulled us out of the Great Depression and ushered in America's, most economic prosperous time for the middle class and for the country overall. So I don't know if that's inherently true because of that example, but and somebody, if you're listening and you have a counter argument, please explain it to me. Break it down to me. I would like to know. It's just that, history and the way I have been taught history and have seen history, with the New Deal and everything, and not even just been taught, but what I've read on myself, like that objectively pulled us out of the Great Depression and ushered in our greatest economic prosperity, in the country. So, but Max Kaiser he brought up the point that, UBI would inevitably still help the rich, and I think this is what he's talking about, basically getting rid of those social safety networks. But I don't know 100% sure. I don't want to put words in his mouth, of course, but yeah. So this is my 5% trepidation I have towards UBI. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue. Progressives tend to see UBI as a complement to the safety net, well suited to changes in the modern workplace, including the growth of gig work. The pandemic turbocharged interest in the idea, and one of the largest programs of its kind, the city of Compton has just launched the Compton Pledge, which will pay $300 to $600 a month to 800 Compton residents for 2 years. The program is sponsored by the Fund for Guaranteed Income, a charity headed by Nika Soon Shiong, daughter of Los Angeles Times owner Patrick Soon Shiong, and a co-director of the Compton Pledge. And that's where I can kind of see Max Kaiser's point, because why is this rich guy getting involved with this shit? What does he have to gain from it? And in my, that's a worthy critique, in my opinion. That's something to definitely look at when the owner of the paper writing this story is doing a UBI program himself. What does he have to benefit from that? So I feel like these are questions we have to ask. We can't just jump into it all willy nilly and expect good to come out of it, because it could be counterproductive to what we're trying to do. So people like Max Kaiser, don't just shit on him and ridicule him and everything for making valid criticisms. Like, take those criticisms into account and work with those people to make the program better, suited for the people, and to actually help the people and not the rich. So that's just what I have to say about it. One benchmark of how recipients are likely, and this was interesting, I kind of hinted at this at the top of the video. One benchmark of how recipients are likely to spend these no strings attached stipends comes from the $1,200 that most adults received from the CARES Act passed at the end of March. Those payments function essentially in the same way as Stockton's guaranteed payment, issued unconditionally for people with less than a specified income. The CARES Act checks went to individuals with less than $75,000 income and members of couples with less than $150,000 income. The pattern of spending from the stimulus check parallels that of the Stockton payments. So people didn't spend it on like drugs and alcohol and shit like fucking conservatives try to say. And new cars and Ferraris and Teslas and shit. That's not what happened. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, nearly 90% of adults in households with earnings of $25,000 or less spent their checks on household expenses. About 80% of those recipients spent the money on food, and 78% on rent, mortgage, and utilities such as gas, electricity, cable, internet, and cell phone services. Like I was seeing reports all over that people, and on top of that, like I said, the $600 unemployment boost, people were spending that to stay in their fucking homes, to feed their kids, to pay their bills. And it's like it's just crazy that, like, and Mitch McConnell gave this speech where he was like, people are sitting on a pile of money. Yeah, your rich fucking donors are, but not the everyday American people who you're supposed to be representing, you fucking piece of shit. So yeah, so there I'd recommend, and again, I've been trying to keep up with that, dropping the links to these articles in the bottom. I just picked out a couple clippings from the article that I found interesting and everything. But I recommend you go read the whole article yourself. It's a really good article, and it just proves the point that UBI is a program that, is beneficial to the people, and it's something that will help lift the people. Joe Biden, this will lift the people out of poverty. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as you run fucking cover for Joe Biden as he fucks over the American people, this will help lift people out of poverty. Not that bullshit bill that y'all passed. So you can take that bill and shove it up your ass. And I mean that in the most disrespectful way ever. So yeah, so I guess I said everything I had to say about here. So, like, again, my closing arguments is this will help people. We need to come up with, fail safe so that this doesn't benefit the rich in the end, as Max Kaiser brings up. So, this article is it's really good explaining it. Again, I recommend going to read it, and I'm going to go ahead and close the video there because now I'm talking in circles. As always, guys, thank you for tuning in. I know I've been gone. I miss Monday. I'm trying to keep up with this shit, man. I'm trying to keep up with it, but I'm going to do. I want to hold myself accountable and do better. Like I said, I'm going to be dropping videos Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and Saturdays. I'm going to be doing live streams. However, this coming up Saturday, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it because it's my mom's birthday this weekend, so I may not be able to do the live stream this Saturday. I had some technical difficulties this past Saturday, which is why I couldn't do it. But we're going to get this live stream popping, but I'm definitely going to be doing a fan video this Friday. So definitely comment. I have some comments from last week that I liked, picked out, so I'm going to go over those too. And yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, share the video. Man, y'all been doing good at doing that shit. And if you're on Odyssey, hit that flame emoji, the like emoji, watch it, share it, everything. I'm trying to get on Rockfin. I'm going to be on Rockfin soon, so stay tuned for that. And also, if you're on Odyssey, I'm not pressuring you to do this. I'm not saying you have to do this, but if you could donate library tokens on there to help support the show, it will be a big help, guys. So yeah, so thanks for tuning in, and peace.